You ask me who I am. I answer by telling you that I am a soldier. My origins are many and varied. I was not always a soldier. I grew up in 10,000 neighborhoods of this great country of ours, 10,000 towns and cities, each with its own particular pace and way of doing things, its own ways of passing the time of day, its own contribution to the American way of life. I am at home in the populous neighborhoods of Manhattan and Chicago and San Francisco. I am also at home among the far mountains and on the plains and deserts. I know well the farmlands, which out of their rich bounty have provided food for our increasing millions in war and peace. In each place there is something of strength and of pride, a grandeur that has shaped my sense of nation. In this bigness are my roots, and from it spring the beginnings of my devotion and love of country. In the high schools and in the colleges and universities of America, my awareness grows. Awareness of what America truly is, what makes it strong and worth fighting for. Most deeply, I learn within my own family. I learn how free I am to speak, to work, to play, to go and come as I please. No other nation on earth has such freedom as we know, and it is worth fighting for. Bringing with me a love of this freedom, I come to serve my country, as my father served, as his father served. Each of us stepping forward in his time to preserve this most cherished of possessions, the right to live free of the dictator's chains. From everywhere across the land I come. I come knowing that only by leaving behind my loved ones, my job, my home, and stepping into this new world of the military, can I protect the way of life I've enjoyed. But however necessary it may be to become a soldier, that becoming is difficult at first. When everything is new, when you know what you're leaving behind, but you're not sure yet of what lies ahead. A strange time. Everything is new. I soon find out that my stature as a soldier comes not all at once, but in bits and pieces. This transition from civilian to soldier is not easy.
Take off, on a double! Move out! Move out! Move out, move out, move out! You hit that girls, what's he doing?
And my name is Sergeant James. I'm going to be your platoon sergeant for your next 8 weeks of training. During this 8 weeks, you're going to find that this is going to be the roughest 8 weeks that you've ever spent in your life.
Now, men, I'm Sergeant Ellington. This is the 5th platoon. Now, I know that ever since you came in this Army, everybody's been telling you what to do. Well, that's just the beginning, because you haven't heard nothing yet.
You might find during this 8 weeks that you're going to do a lot of things that is not pleasant to you. It is not meant to be pleasant to you. Combat is not going to be pleasant to you. And someday you men may have to face combat. And someday you're going to be in that situation where you're going to have this discipline. And when someone tells you to move, you got to move or you're dead.
Now, one thing I want you to get straight. I've only got one mission here. And it's not to become your dear friends. You left that when you left your home. My job is to make soldiers fighting men, a well-oiled fighting machine out of you civilians.
Now, in order to complete this basic, you've got to be physically fit. Get your foot off that footlocker. And in order to be physically fit, we're going to start right out with the first week of giving you physical training. By the end of 8 weeks, you're going to be physically fit to go into combat. You're going to be physically fit to survive in combat. And that is my job, to see that you are that way.
But don't think that just because you're here and we're working down on you, that we're beating down on you, that we're riding your back, that we're giving you orders, we're shouting at you, we're telling you what to do, what not to do. Don't feel that you still don't have some privileges as a soldier, because as long as you act as a soldier, we'll treat you as a soldier.
I falter at first, but I learn. And to tell the truth, it doesn't help much at this point to know that others have successfully passed through this stage. In fact, it makes me wonder a little if I'm growing at all, or just standing still, with 2 left feet. Things happen so fast. I'm given a weapon and told that it will be my best friend should I go into combat. But it doesn't seem a friend at first. It is awkward in my untrained hands. I haven't acquired the muscle and coordination of a soldier. But muscles can be strengthened, and arms and legs taught to do the bidding of a soldier. I hardly notice as I grow. One of my first experiences in the field is the long march out to the firing range. Comes the time in those days on the firing line when the weapon ceases to be awkward in my hands. Gradually, I'm gaining in soldierly confidence. To learn to fire the rifle accurately, someone said, is to learn the basic skill of a soldier. Pride is a peculiar thing. It sneaks up on you. Maybe when you're eating chow in the field, when you know you've done okay on the range that day. Or maybe when you're packing up, getting ready for the march back to camp. One of those quiet moments. That's when you start to feel that maybe you've grown just a little bit taller. But just when you're ready to pat yourself on the back, something new comes along to remind you that you still have things to learn. As time goes by, the pace picks up. On the infiltration course, I learned some basic practical rules of the profession of arms. When machine gun bullets are snapping overhead, the logic of what you've been told suddenly becomes crystal clear. Keep your head and everything else down. I learned to keep moving. The enemy won't stop firing. He will have to be stopped. It's a dirty, noisy classroom, but you learn to come through and carry on to the attack. That's the lesson for today. All along the way, I grow. Even in the barracks, after a hard day of training, stretched on a bunk, I think about home. I contrast the carefree times of the past with the military disciplines of here and now. But I know that by being here, I'm helping to protect a good way of life. Now I'm part of a standing army. And in learning the basic skills of soldiering, I've taken a first step toward being able to defend my country properly. But my growth only begins with that first step. I and my fellow soldiers across the nation move on to other posts, to new fields of military advancement and specialization, to learn the 10,000 different jobs that the Army performs daily. And with me still, be it Georgia, Texas, or California, is the weapon that has now become a respected companion. A far more effective weapon in my now more experienced hands. I continue to use it. But there are other weapons in the arsenal of democracy, and I must learn to use them too. I learned that mobility is all important. I must be able to travel by foot or by any means necessary, overcoming whatever obstacles lie in the way. I'll use a rope, or a boat designed for special missions, or a pair of skis or snowshoes or whatever it takes. And whatever it takes, I'll get there. I'll get there in ways that hadn't been dreamed, much less tried, 10 years ago. That's how it is. With me, mobility has to mean any place, anytime. Modern warfare demands that I get where I'm needed, in force and in time to do the job. The Army has equipment designed to guarantee this. I learned to use it. As an American soldier, I'm trained thoroughly in the hard ways of combat. Increasingly, I become aware of my role as a part of a modern fighting team. I must fill the need for airborne soldiers, trained and ready to drop into action in potential hotspots anywhere on Earth. There is no isolated battlefield in this half of the 20th century. No rigid battle line, permanently marked by pins on a map. Tomorrow, 3 different combat areas may come into focus, thousands of miles apart. I must be ready for this. I am ready. For the shorter hops, the Army has a specially tailored answer, whatever the kind of mobility called for. Helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft as well play a big part in getting me and my buddies to where we're needed. Wherever there's a ground battle to be fought and won, there you'll find Army aviation, helping to get the job done one way or another. Above the ground or on the ground, it's the same mission, the same job. I learned to get it done. Learning to fight is always the main job, but I must become a technician too. For there are thousands of tasks to be done, and I must be able to do them all. Each new advance in weapons or equipment creates a fresh need for trained soldiers to perform maintenance, to operate and take care of every item. This means schooling. Small wonder the Army runs one of the largest and best training programs in the world. Technical schooling and on-the-job training are both important parts of this program. With the rapid advances in electronics, missilery, and other areas of technology, the variety and scope of the military training required is phenomenal and exciting. The soldier of today may work with his feet on the ground, his eyes on the stratosphere. In the 20th century, this too is the job of the soldier. The complexity of today's Army makes it truly big business. And so I must master the techniques and equipment of administrative automation. This makes possible both massive size and instant reaction time. As I advance, the schooling and training become more of a challenge. But with each new question and answer generated in the classroom, I grow a little bit more. Sometimes the training is really specialized. As a ranger, I receive instruction on the virtues of various backwoods delicacies. A rattlesnake is good eating if there are no K-ration handy. But you want to make sure you get the first bite. In a decade when uprisings and rebellions are commonplace, I must keep myself ready to control a mob, to quell a potential riot. I am ready. I also learned to handle silent weapons of ancient design, but increased power. This silent power, in the hands of an expert, can be ideal for such a specialized mission as this. Training to be a soldier means being prepared for anything and everything. Even capture in an enemy-held land far from home, where there is only your own strength and character to see you through. That and your training. Name, rank, serial number. As I continue to grow and learn more of the Army, I take on greater responsibilities. I become a leader as well as a follower. Through advanced infantry training, I increase my combat know-how under the most realistic of training conditions. And when the Army specifies realistic, it means realistic. I find that becoming a leader is not easy. Every man on the team must be made aware of his part in the mission. And just keeping track of every man during a field action can be a job in itself. But with each new responsibility, I come a little closer to realizing the full measure of a soldier. There are times, though, when you can't help thinking how much easier it would be not to be the guy who has to make the decisions, give the orders. But today, our military challenge is clear. Be ready, or be hanged. This kind of readiness takes leaders. So I learned to lead. I lead at the action level. Maybe as a crew chief on an important weapons system. Or maybe I'm put in charge of a tank, learning to make 51 tons of power do what I want it to. But as a leader, I remain a learner, for I must continue to grow in the ways of the Army. There is always some new fact to catch hold of and put to use. Some new job assignment to prepare myself for. For I must be ready. At places like the Army Language School, I receive intensive training in languages which might be required for me to carry out key foreign assignments. Arabic, French, Chinese, Spanish, Russian, Greek, Hungarian, Indonesian, Korean, Persian, Vietnamese. 28 languages. I learned them all. I may need to function not only as a soldier, but as a diplomat in uniform, working closely with my brother soldiers and the citizens of other nations of the free world. This, too, is part of my mission, to cement the skill and strength and determination with which we join in the battle against communism. I began my learning, my growing as a soldier, with the rifle, but I go on to encompass the Army's arsenal of tactical missiles, each in its own way a part of the answer to the threat of aggression, each a powerful voice. And I learned to make those voices heard. Available to me right now is the most awesome assemblage of firepower and support materiel that any soldier in recorded history has known. These today are the tools of my trade, the implements with which I give tangible force to my determination. And already new concepts are being developed for my use that seem like a page out of Buck Rogers. These newly developing answers to the needs of tomorrow range from mammoth size to man size. I must keep pace with these new devices and the tactics implicit in them. For when the challenges of tomorrow come, I must be ready. The menacing threat of communism is no fairy tale. It has long-term plans. They are backed by hardware. Those plans involve the world as a whole. There is no corner of Earth too remote for aggression. And there is no spot too close to my homeland for infiltration and subversion. So today, I, the American soldier, am on duty in every corner of the world. In Berlin, I train watchful eyes across the wall and all along the tense east-west line which this wall symbolizes. In the heart of Southeast Asia, where the free world fights daily to keep its foothold against the thrusts of communist guerrilla forces, I am on hand to train, to advise, to help. You'll find me in Korea, among the ancient hills, keeping watch over an uneasy ceasefire. I pull duty in the torrid zones of our own hemisphere and in the sub-zero cold of Alaskan frontiers. From Alaska across the dew line to Greenland, I keep watch. And on the great ice cap itself, I am at work, opening up a new world of knowledge for science and defense. Wherever my presence as an American soldier is needed, for the defense of those who are free, or for those who long to be so, there you will find me. You asked me who I am and what I do. I do what must be done. What I do has been done by others before me and will continue to be done so long as any threat to our liberty remains. Wherever I go, whatever I do, I am a soldier.